right. Back at it this week. As always, let us test sound. Even though not many people watch it live. Not many people watch it live. I don't want to just be talking to myself. Thanks for those that are watching it live or will be watching it live here in a little bit as I guess people come in if they do. And thank you very much for the people that do watch the playback. I did want to announce I am going to do a change up in schedule. What I'm noticing is that every so often, I just not get burnt out from streaming, but I don't want to stream every weekend. I want to be able to do some other stuff here. Even tonight I was like pickling some stuff, so set up a couple jars of some pickled sausages and peppers and all that other stuff. But I want to be able to have that time to go ahead and do anything else. Last week I did take off because my mom was in town, so it was just like, oh, okay, this is good to take off every so often and have the time to myself so that I could probably even focus on some of these other projects and some other things. So what I'll probably do is just be streaming 6 times a month, so 3 weeks. And then on the other 2 nights, I'll just work on the projects and some other stuff and do for anything personal that I have to get done. Also, what I'm going to be doing is this project is taking a long time, and I don't have time to work on it outside of outside of the stream with my regular work schedule. So that's been a serious problem, and that's been slowing things down a lot. So the reason why we're still on this project is mainly because I only work on it when I'm on stream. I can't really work on it during my day job because I'll get too into it, and I usually if I get too into something, then I tend to ignore the other stuff, which is it's just something I do. So I don't want to do that, and then it's got to try and keep it above board, working for somebody, they're giving you money and they allow me to live my lifestyle the way that I have now. So got to respect that. So what I'll be doing is on Fridays, I'll work on fat because this is not like a small undertaking by any means. Even though at the beginning I was doing a lot with it, but I had more time then too. But this is not a small undertaking. It's going to take quite a bit of time, but I want to get it done and I want to keep on doing it. In terms of, doing new things, there's a lot of new things I want to do. I want to actually get a Discord server going so I can start building a more interactive or a community where we could talk a little bit more about some of the things that we're going through in terms of coding. I think I'll probably name it Grizzly Den or something like that. That'll be kind of cool. And then it'll have different channels. And then maybe even later on, some of those channels will be paid channels, and working on the code to, make that happen and actually doing that live and making it open source. So having systems where it interacts with Stripe and other things. So that'll be really cool. And I actually want to, and I haven't told anybody else this yet. So the people that I'm thinking about, but having other creators come in, maybe in the financial space, maybe even esoteric space or what have you, maybe they come in and we do some profit sharing in terms of the channels, and then people can subscribe to certain channels and then we can kind of communicate from there. That way we can actually make money, pay moderators. Some of the moderation gets done in code, and then some of the moderation gets done actually within what's it called, from a live person, so that person can make money too. So it's thinking about ways to do that and make money off of it. And then as well as, doing a fun coding project that would require a Node.js server that interacts with Discord and all these other third-party softwares, or all these third-party softwares working together and using my code as a bridge between them. So kind of be cool. You have a Discord server. That Discord server has different channels. Those channels require some type of access. You can only get access to those channels if you're put on the list to access those channels, but you can only get put on that list is if you pay. So it's how do you make that all happen and make it all happen seamlessly? So you go to Stripe, you create a form. Okay, cool. You set, everything gets done. You pay for your access. so on and so forth, and how much everything costs. Your cart comes to, like, you come to a total with your cart, and then boom, you pay for everything. We do everything through Shopify, things like that. And then after that, it's like, okay, we're done. We paid. Now, okay, now I have to communicate to using webhooks and API calls, using a webhook. And once that webhook triggers, then it makes an API call to my Node.js server. The Node.js server takes in the payment, or, if there's any downtime, like what happens if the Node.js server doesn't answer right away? How do we deal with that? So it's like things like that. How do we go from there? And once it makes that API call, then that API call, or once it makes the API call, it initiates things that happen on the Discord server and maybe even other services. So it's like beyond Patreon, doing more in these different systems. So I've been thinking about that, seeing how I can actually make that work. I or even doing like a Telegram and then interacting that way. Make it to where even do push notifications. So registering with the YouTube API, and then these different channels, like maybe people that, if we, we have like Edward Anderson talks about purple pill space all the time. It's like, okay, how can we talk in those, how can we create a purple pill space? Like being the leaders of that, and then driving content into that. Somebody that one of the people in Telegram, which is Don Calypso, he always posts stuff, and it's just like, okay, well, how can we make it to where that stuff happens automatically? People that we have on our quote unquote watch list that we want to actually communicate with, not even communicate with, but we want to talk more with and talk more about, and go from there, and it's just like, okay, having a greater conversation, more, or a uncensored, uninhibited conversation about the content that we're actually watching. Also having those private channels that not everyone can get into and things like that. So it's like there's so much you can actually do with that, and then ways you can connect. Even thinking about my brother said this a while back, and you can have these Telegram, WhatsApp groups, and I think I'm not sure if it was my brother that started this, but like Ed started this. Maybe I know you mentioned it before, but like having these groups where you talk just business, and it's done in Telegram or Discord, and it's just business. Like we're not talking black fuckery or anything like that. We're not talking any shit that's going on with the community. We're not even talking computer stuff. We're just talking like, hey, this is just straight business. This is how you can make money here, here, and here, and these are the things that you can do. Blah blah blah. So, but yeah, so how can we program all that and make all that happen? So I want to do those on Saturday next. So starting tomorrow, I'll start exploring other technologies, and I'll still be doing fat in the background. Hopefully I can do more of that on the weekends. I don't think I have much. I do have yard work this weekend, but it's not that crazy, I think, or I won't be doing as much on that. So I think I will be coding more and doing stuff. So, or progressing stuff. But yeah, that's basically it. That's the channel announcement. And yeah, so what we're gonna do now. Let's just make sure yeah, great. So I just want to make sure I get that out there. I think you guys can see in terms of the screen. Trying like looking on another system here or another window here. Yeah, this looks decent. Let me check the stream online. And then we'll get started with coding fat. So inspect. Server bad request, get list all, failed, status code. Huh. Weird. Oh, okay. Wow. This looks actually decent on the phone. Let me mute this pretty much. No, it looks like absolute crap on the phone. Damn. Does it get better? Jesus Christ. Okay. All right, let's get started here, and definitely promise that I'll go ahead and buy StreamYard this week. Yeah, I'll definitely go buy it. That's horrible quality. In fact, I wonder if I can. Okay. Yeah, I'll do it later. But I'll do it right after stream. I'll go ahead and purchase the license for StreamYard. Everything's going good at the night job, so confident that'll stay around, and I will be able to do some work, or what's it called? Keep on doing that work. Let's see here. So bad request, and if I do PM2 status, right now, bugs, all right. Oh goodness, sorry about that. All right, so if I front end works. Let's see what's going on here. So if I do, it's form modify and API get list all. What is this thing called again? Take a look at Postman. It's the only thing about doing these things and like trying to pick up where you left off, and I really gotta get better with that to give you guys a better experience altogether. All right, let's see here. Uh, 2620. Okay, so decode, set as variable, server API, shoot. Here, and then I should do edit. View documentation. I know there you go, variables. And then as far as the variables are concerned, current value. Another thing that happens is this IP address keeps on changing, so I gotta stabilize the environment. I think I'll spend time this weekend to do that and just kind of focus on doing things to make the stream better for everybody here. And that way we can get a better result here. All right, cool. And then I'm gonna, where's save? Save. All right, and then if I do get all, get all, send, get list, get all. Can I get list, get all? Oh. Send. What is wrong with my API here? Now let's see the port running started by on port 2000. It should be running as the regular server port for the API stuff. Yeah. All right, let's see if we have to change that here. Get list on. All right. Well, I guess this is a good lesson in troubleshooting every week. All right, so I'm having a problem connecting to the API. We can do a couple of things here. CD, fat. Running this on a VM on my secondary computer in my sunroom, and I haven't used this. I didn't use it last week, and then I had to shut it down today because of battery backup problems. So one thing I'll do is work to make this more stable so that I can work on it from any system. That's one thing, and then that took a little while to get started. So let's troubleshoot. We can do service. So, well, what are the things that we do know here, right? We know that the web server is running. You know, we can get to it. Is there an issue with what we're using for our URL? So, for instance, if I look at the JavaScript code here, just increase that. We can look at API get. Oh, okay. So that could be a problem right there. I don't have, it doesn't say API in there. So that's one thing that I did just change a little while ago. So server API. Okay. So let's go ahead and add API here and all right, cool. So /web. And then now if I go to it and do this, let's take out the 2000. Because I'm thinking like the port was wrong, but that may not be the issue. Sorry for the small. Okay, cool. So API works and that's good. So why isn't it working via the web page? That's one thing. We know everything's good there, or it looks like everything's good. So that's one thing. So we'll go to console, get list all bad request. So request failed to status 400 on ready change state, do this. Okay, so if I go to this piece of code here, Axios seems to be having a problem because it's pointing to the Axios JavaScript. And all right, so success, so if response equals success, API get list all. So if I look at some of the stuff here, let me see if I can't increase the font here. That sucks. I probably could find it somewhere, but let's actually, yeah, zoom in. Okay, cool. So zoom in, zoom out is the usual stuff. Oh, it's equal sign. There you go. Cool. All right. So we know our API works, our backend works here. Now let's try and figure out what the hell is going on with why it won't connect, our front end won't connect to it. Because it looks like it's just mainly our front end code that's not connecting to it. But if I was to look at our front end code, I can make a connection. In fact, let's see. See what happens here. Status failure, missing required lists. All right, cool. That looks good. Now, is this an issue because bad request? Huh. So it returns a 400, but I wanted to display it. And okay, so that just could be something that we programmed. So nano service view, no. That should be controller, API, and then we should be doing a get. And then that is, why is that even open? Is being edited by root. I am root. Yeah, we'll just take over. I guess my screen session actually saved, or the state of the system saved. So if I do this and I go to my list portion of the code, and it should return up 400, I think. I mean, that should be fine. And even if it sends the 400, all right, let's do this. List endpoints, and then anything with a 400, we're gonna just change them all to 200. So 400, 200. Yes. And I think this is yes. Yes. All right, cool. There we go. All right, so we're good on that. Sends us a 4. It's going to send us a 200 now. Let's go ahead and duplicate this. Go back. Oh, that's it. So because I was sending, but I want it to error out. I mean, I don't want it to show this. All right. I don't want it to show this. I still want it to like actually have but maybe the request is not bad. Yeah, maybe the request is not bad, or the request that I send is not bad. So I send a 200 error in terms of sending my status. And what I should be sending, or what I think I should have been sending, is a 400. But the 400 should be if there is indeed a bad request or a bad gateway, if you're doing a 500 or something like that, a 504, or even like a 404 not found. So what it's telling me is my API should always answer with a 200. And then even though it answers with a 200, my status is where I start to make all the different calls to say, hey, this is a problem. And then I act on that code. So if I was to do this and then cd opt fat, and then nano server as a view, and then public JS. I don't want to edit that. And I want to do, this is the modify or form, modify JS. And we're not doing it based off of status codes here. Yeah, let's see here. Okay, cool. So we're not doing off of status codes here. Is it moving too far ahead here? Axios, run this, list response, list entry response prompt. Okay, cool. So I'll do generate list HTML. So if it equals success, yeah, because we're working on like just going back and forth with this and just testing the code. So just go ahead and do that. All right, cool, equals success. All right, good. And it gets prompted for our list here. And then what we do is with this code for that submit button, I mean, I think we're good here because what we're showing in terms of what we did, if I go here, reload. All right, no, F5, control F5. Okay, so it shows our two lists, and that's good. What we want is, so those two things are working. So if this works, it shows the list. If it doesn't work, then it asks for the list entry. So moving on past that. Now let's look at our list entry prompt. and go and look at that function and get that looking right. So let's go ahead and let that take up the whole screen here. All right, so we don't have all our lists. I want to make sure that now it's going to take all the entry, or it's going to take the entries that we have. So it's going to prompt, and that submit button should be connected to a function, and that function should be like right below it anyway. So submit list. All right, cool. So we submit the list, and I want it to swall close, generate array of list objects. Great. All right, so with it generating that list of list objects, good. So we're good on that. Now let's go ahead and refresh the page. And what I'm going through is just stepping through everything that I've done so far. Now I want to be able to do submit. And then when I submit, inspect. So on my inspection, I should have an array, and then account primary, account type secondary, institution, entry type. And I have my long name and I have my short name. So I have all of those. So now once we have all that for the list, or since all those things are there for the list, why is that doing that? Scrolling, okay. That's good. We can get the delete button and the edit button working and stuff like that. Like if we just do edit, then it should come up with the whole thing. What we'll probably do is, sorry. Sorry guys, hold on. It's just like some guys like driving really slow in front of my house. Not totally weird, but question is why. All right, so we have this going here. That's good. I mean, those are the things that we were working on in the previous sessions or the previous streams. So now, if I was to look at this, I think that's complete and I think that's good. There's little things that we could do aesthetically speaking to make this quote unquote look better, if you will, but not totally necessary, especially now. I do want to have the option to edit the list, and then that list prompts for list entry. So the only thing I would like to see on this, I'd probably have to have something else instead of where it says list entry prompt. This has to come from somewhere, right? That has to come from somewhere. So I'll have the delete button for every list. Well, these lists have to be there, right? Should I be able to delete these type of lists? And the answer should be no on that. Because why would I want to delete the list that I need? I was just thinking about user interface. How would we actually make this work? Okay, so change with input. This is okay. That's not generating the list. We need to generate the list, and then that's where we have our icon here. I want to be able to edit the list, but I don't want to be able to delete the list. So we'll go ahead and where is this? This is there's a way you can comment out things in a template literal, and I believe you have to do a conditional. So I kind of want to keep it. Yeah, I kind of want to keep it because I don't want to redo this code here. So I think it's $, curly brace, parentheses, and we're going to encapsulate it in this here. So excuse me. All right, cool. So now with that being done, we have this, and we could do, oh man, how do we do it? So we have to use a ternary operator to do this, and the way that would work, I don't even know if I could do a multi-line ternary operator there. So we'll see here. We're going to have a question mark, and then in between the question marks, or after the question mark, we'll have some code. All right, cool. So question mark, and then this will be our code for the first thing, and then we'll do this, and we'll just encapsulate that, or we'll just do nothing. So ternary operator, we'll do false. It has to be an if statement, so we can just do true. And I did it in the wrong order, so we'll do it up here, and we'll do this here. All right, so that should be it for that. Oh, no, I think we have to do this here. Yeah. Let's see if this errors out. Cool, submit, and that totally didn't work. All right, cool, so let's do that. Submit, and that totally didn't work. All right, cool, so if true, and then nothing, because the first statement should always be true. See if it just has to be on one line here. That is the case. All right, cool, done. All right, cool, so true. That's good, the question mark. There you go. Great. All right, cool. So we just had to make, it just doesn't do multi-line, so which is fine. We'll just have to do something else. But that allows me to keep that piece of code there and then comment it out, so then you don't see it there on the other side. We'll do the same thing. Actually, we'll get rid of this here at the top. We don't need that. Yeah, we will not need this list. Oh, sorry, we won't need the edit buttons. So I will go ahead and get rid of those. The question is, where am I going to put them? Or where am I going to put it, really, because it should only be one. So my list should only show up, if anything, after, or access to this list only shows up once I go ahead and submit a list. So I shouldn't be able to escape out of this or anything else like that. So that's okay. I have to submit and then get a response from the server. So then my modify list, what I'll go ahead and do on that, that is, and then that is going to be in view, view pages, and form modify list, and we're going to search for the word we're going to search for the word modify list, and then that's right there. And what we're going to do is we will go ahead So cool. So that's done there. Let's make sure it's there. Great. So we do have the button there. What we'll probably do is go ahead and make that a little bit smaller. I don't know why it's reporting bad gateway. All right, cool. So we'll have that there. And we'll go ahead and get rid of this here. Actually, we'll do a Control F5. Make sure we're good. All right, great. So we have our list. If we want to modify it, we do it up here, and we'll make that code work in time. We won't delete any lists or anything like that, so that'll be good. Question is, do we want to like center any of this stuff? Won't worry about that now. The aesthetics don't really matter. And then in terms of moving forward, so now we have all of this in terms of our entry, our account type, primary type, all that stuff is the good. So now I think we should be moving to backend stuff, because now I'm going to be sending this to the server, and I need to make sure that I need to validate all these entries to make sure that there's something in those entries there. So we got all the aesthetic stuff done. And then if it's, well, let's step back a little bit, right? Because when we first load this page, this happens, right? Because it actually makes an Axios call and then gets something from the server, or it makes an actual Axios call. So let's see here. Await response. So we do the await response, then we do the toast options, or we have our toast options here. That's if everything is okay. So if it equals success, now let's see here in terms of console.log, and then response. All right. I think it's going to be actually, let's make sure that's right. We got to have it stop monitoring the view folder, because it should not be doing this. What I notice is like the server restarts every time I make changes to front end code, and you'll be making so many changes to front end code that it'll keep on restarting like every 2 seconds, especially like a lot of the work will be on the front end code. The only time we want it to restart is when we're doing back end code or server side code, which would be our Node.js runtime or controller, actual, all the stuff that's happening within the controller folder. So that is ecosystem, and we're going to take off. So we watch server. Okay. We want to ignore the watch of this here. All right, cool. So we want to ignore the watching of an array of files here. So we're going to add log db server. We're going to take out server, and we're going to include server. Hopefully this works. Server and then view. So all our view code shouldn't really talk to the server, or shouldn't really cause a restart. And you do this relative to the system path, or the folder which you're working in, which is in the current working directory, which is fat. So I don't watch log storage, especially with MongoDB, or sorry, DB storage and log storage, because it'll write logs and then it'll write things to the DB. So every time it writes stuff to the DB, it would restart if you didn't put this in there. And then in this case, I'll add server view because we have our MVC. So cool. All right, good. And what I'll do is I will do, I forgot what we do. It's like npm run stop, I think. Yeah. see a list of scripts. We'll do, okay, npm run. I was thinking about what to do so I can list the scripts that I have, but I forgot. All right, so we want to stop our instance. All right, cool. So I made custom scripts for my npm or the scripts that I have to run. So in this case, I have stop instance, and with the script that I wrote, it cleans up a couple things and make sure things are exited properly, or make sure things exit period, and that's sometimes an issue. So let's go ahead and do stop instance. It runs -k. It really gets the actual instance ID and starts killing that process if necessary. And then what I'll do is, oh, okay, so I want to delete instance as well. Ooh. So I do this because if I do PM2, I want to do PM2 status, and nothing should show up. So now I should be able to do npm start. And we have to do that because if we don't delete the instance, then PM2 will run with the old ecosystem config, and we want it to recognize the new changes. So we'll do start. So everything should start, and it should no longer, actually, let's get 0. Should no longer be watching this. If it doesn't work, then I'll just have to figure something out. All right, cool. Bear with me. All right, so that's cool. We're back working, or we're working the way we want to work here. I might add that to the boilerplate project that we did a while back. Yeah, I might add that to the boilerplate project that we did a while back. The not watching the view folder, so that shouldn't be too big a deal to do that. So do 1, everything is online. All right, cool. And you can do a PM2 save, and when you do that PM2 save, it saves it to startup, but I'll do that here in a little bit. All right, so we're good to go with that. Fix that problem. All right, so back to what we were actually having an issue with. We'll go to 3. Oh no, we want to go. No, we have 1. Is fine. Cool. So the problem we have, we want this to give us our data, right? And now I want to see what that data is, because whatever data I get, I want to fill in this. I want to fill in all of this here, because from Postman, we can see that we do have some information in here. So we have the missing lists, all right, tells us what those are. And then we do have some lists that are actually filled in. So we have the account type primary, and we have the access level list. Excuse me. So I want to fill all of that in. In this case, this should be coming from the back end. So we'll go ahead and get rid of what's the static that we put in, the static information that we put in. So all that stuff should start coming from the back end. All right, cool. So now, what, an hour into the stream? Oh, 45 minutes into the stream. Now we're going to actually progress. All right, cool. So let's go ahead and do that. Now, in terms of this, I want to see what we're getting. If I was, all right, cool. So not doing it. Perfect. I want to see what we're getting. So we're going to have that console out to the system, or we're going to have this console out to the log, or we're going to have to log out to the console, and we got our status failure. We have our payload. In our payload, we have our 2 lists. Got our list ID. Don't care too much about that right now, but maybe that's something that we want to actually put in. We can also have our timestamps to see when they were last updated. That'll be a nice thing to have, but not really totally necessary. So let's go ahead, and with that, it's going to generate our list items, but I have an issue here, right? So list entry prompt. All right, so we're going to work on the list entry prompt portion of this. And with our list entry prompt, we get, this is our HTML for that. list entry prompt, we're going to get an object. And this object is going to come from the server backend. So object received from server. And then with the object received from server, now I want to actually start breaking that down and doing some stuff to it, if possible, or not if possible, but doing some stuff to it as needed. One thing we want to do is go through here and we want to fill in all this stuff. So first, let's get rid of the value section here. So I don't want any of these values to come from this static entry here, because I should have all of that. Let's see, is it this one? No, it's access level list. All those values should come from here. So asset, liability, expense, equity, revenue. So all that should come from the back end. And that, I think we could just like output that as is. We'll put our quotes back in there, and I can access this list. Oof. So what we'll definitely have to do here is we're gonna have to loop through the array that's given. We're gonna have to loop through payload, which is an array. Cool. That does make our code a little bit cleaner as well. So that's always welcomed. What we're gonna do first, we'll keep everything looking the way it is, and we'll just write all new code here. So with that being said, let's loop this sucker up. We're going to do a for loop. Oop. All right, so for let I equal 0, and I add the extra spaces because this makes it a little bit more readable for me. I less than, in this case, it'll be object.payload, because we're going to get this object. I don't think I'm going to do anything here, so, but let's actually put this comment above. We don't do anything here. Let's get a couple more lines so we can see what we're doing here. And that will create our HTML in time. So we'll get that done. So for this, and we'll just start injecting stuff into our HTML body here. What we're going to have to do is go through this, and we'll break up the, we'll break up the pieces here, or break this into pieces. So if we break this into pieces, we have our list container right here. So these are our pieces. This is the repeatable portions of code here. And even if we have this, see how we have the multiple here for this select. This is using the select2 library. And when it uses that select2 library, we have it where, if it's using that select2 library, we'll have to see how that works, where we actually inject things into the select div and see if there's any problems there. Because we're going to have to do that from the get-go for our value here. So right here, I just have an input box, and then it has that. So that's fine. And in terms of just breaking it up, this is the part that's repeatable. Those are the sections that are repeatable. So all this code here is the same because it uses the select2 library. This is the only one that's different. So we'll inject that one first. We don't need to. All right, let's write our code to do everything here. So, or to loop through the payload array. All right, cool. So let's do that. So and then when it comes to we will be doing object.payload, and I'm just going off of this right here. This is the object itself. It has a key in there called payload. And then from payload, it's an array. So we need the length of that array, and we're going to compare that to or see if it's greater than I. And then from there, we're going to increment I. All right, so now we have this. Now let's just go ahead and console.log. It's an object. So in that object, or it's an array of objects. So in that object, we have an object called, or a key called list name within the object. So it should be object.payload. We'll just go ahead and we'll do let payload, because I don't want to write this out every single time. Payload equal object.payload, and we'll do list name. It just makes it a little bit easier. Sometimes it is kind of confusing, but it just makes it a little bit easier to read here. So payload that list name, and then we're gonna have to do I. There we go. So now that should address whatever it is in that array, or whatever wherever it is in that array, the index, and it'll do it for payload and print that list name out. So cool. Here, unexpected identifier. What do we do wrong? So for let I did. All right, so there's something wrong here. Length for that. I plus plus object.payload.length. Oh, I see. All right, so we're gonna have to stub this off into its own function. So yeah. So what we're gonna do is all of this should come from its own function, and then it'll fire. So we'll do a function called function generate list entry prompt. We'll make this a public function so anybody can use it, or we can reuse it if necessary. In this case, and then that also makes things a little bit on the cleaner side. There we go there. And that will take an object. Generated list. Is entry prompt HTML. JavaScript coders be like in terms of variable names. All right, cool. So I'll have that, and boom. Alrighty, so At that, we'll have our for loop. That for loop will produce HTML and we'll return HTML. So let HTML equal, and I don't think we have to like, we don't even have to put like, we'll just do like let HTML and that should be it right there. And then we will return HTML. And then the HTML will equal this. So what we want to do is boom, boom, chicka, boom, boom. Actually, HTML will equal something here. HTML, and then after that, we should loop through and add stuff. And then on the last one, we will go ahead and add the last bit of it. No, we'll just do all of it within the for loop. I think that will be a little bit nicer. If it should be I equals 0. If I equals 0, HTML plus equals. Actually, no. We want to do HTML equals because we want to clear it out if there is anything else in there, because this should be the beginning always. So then that helps us later on, if anything. And there we go there. All right, and then from that point, from this point on, then we'll add to it. So that would be a plus equals, and then if 0, and then we'll put something else at the end. So if I equals whatever the payload length is. Oh, so we got to do this here. So we'll have to take in, where did that go? Here we go. Let payload equals, and then object. Oh, okay, so we're good on that. Yeah, I think we're good on that. Sorry, a little brain fart. I'm just wondering if we should just take this out and put it into the. We don't have to reassign that variable every time. It doesn't really make sense to me to have to redo that and put it within the loop. It made sense, of course, kind of down there. Actually, probably didn't even make sense down there, to be honest. And then if I do this here, my HTML, I shouldn't have to do this again. All right, so let's go ahead and do this. Let's do a multi-line edit here. Probably doing too much at once, but we'll just do this for now, and I can unedit it or remove it here in a second. I think I should be able to do that multi-line edit because essentially this is a long JSON object, which is the config for the actual the suite alerts. So I can do HTML, and that would be the result of generate list prompt entry prompt. Right, and then that would take in generate list prompt HTML. Should that take in anything? No. Prompt HTML. And that should just be a function, and that function great. I need to generate this, and that requires an object. That object will be whatever I pass it. I'm pretty confusing myself here. No, that's wrong. So that's that. That'll be HTML, and I know that's wrong. We should be generating. Let me just finish this, and then I can write that part because that's kind of the problem for me here. Object received from server, and that's part of the problem here. So like this list entry prompt, it should take list entry prompt should take an object. Yeah. List entry prompt should take an object, which would be response.data. Response data. And then I should pass that response data to that there. And then that should give me what I need. And then that response data would be here, would be an object. Okay, let's do this to be a little bit more descriptive of what data is. Because you want to have like informative variable names. And then what that does, it helps, it kind of writes itself in terms of what you're doing in terms of, what do they call that stuff again? Documentation. All right, so response data, with the response data there, that's all I would need. And then we've cut off a couple lines from here, and now we're just moving it to another area. So now if HTML, all right, cool. So now we're back to this. If I equals, oh, the single equals. And now if it equals object.payload, we're within the loop, so we should be able to use payload here. So payload.length. Yeah. Payload.length. And then since we're doing this, we can actually just do payload.length because that's all we're going to be worrying about. Because we're just going to be iterating through the payload. And it makes our naming easier. So payload.length, so if I equals payload, and it should be payload.length -1. So those two can match up because one starts at 0 and the other one doesn't. Or one starts at 1 and one starts at 0. So that should be that. Should be good for that. And then list container, and we'll close out our div. And once we close out our div, return HTML, and that should be it. So it should just return HTML and give us that list container. And then after that, we would put in all of our stuff here. So let's see. Oh, keyboard combination, but that's something new, I guess. So let's see where we screwed up. All right, cool. Missing necessary list. No, that's not cool. No, that is cool. Yeah. So it did it, and then there's nothing in the HTML. It didn't return anything. We should get a list container, which would be an empty div. Small fire here. Input. Missing necessary list. We should have some information in here. We should have where it says, we should have list container. All right, cool. So let's go ahead and search for that. Yeah, list container is not there. So if I equals 0, HTML equals that. Okay, so we have an ending div. So plus equals, and then that should get us our list container. No, doesn't. Okay, there we go. Cool, great. I had to press enter again. All right, cool. So now we got our list container, so that's good. Now we just write the code in between all of this, but it should console log some stuff. Cool. So we got our access level list and list primary. So what we're going to do is we'll start writing this stuff here. So if, how we're going to do this? You have to make this repeatable, right? We'll work with it using this as our base, right? Because we want this to be our, we'll use this as our base, and we'll do an if statement for the primary list, which will actually be different. Yeah, and then we want to list the primary list first. Because when we get these lists, they're going to be out of order. We'll worry about that later, but that is something that we're going to have to look at and reorder things a little bit, and we might have to do a sort function of some sort. Pun not intended, but quite comical. All right, yeah, so we're going to take this, and we're going to do HTML plus equals, and then this here, boom. And we'll do our template literals. We'll get our spacing right. I think, yeah, that should be good. And then each one of these rows, we should see what we want is every single one of these should be account list secondary, account level list, account type primary. Each one of these should have an ID. So we'll fill in our ID and we'll add title to it. Okay, cool. So that's what it looks like. So we'll use our template literal syntax so we can fill things in. And how do we fill things in? What do we fill things in with? It should be a payload. If we go off of the console log, which is right here. Okay, I thought I took it out. Good though, I didn't. We'll do payload brackets I, and that will reference whatever spot we are in the array. And actually, no, we'll have list name, so that's good. We are going to have an if statement here because I do not want our spacing right again, kind of just reverse what I did earlier. So, oops. So if payload list name is not equal to yeah, I guess we can keep our access level list. I'll see. I'm not sure if I want to edit that here and have the different access level lists. Modify list. We'll see. We'll see about that. We'll keep that code there. So, but let's actually finish that out. It'll be cool. There's that. And list name. And we're going to do the same thing here. The only thing we're going to do, and this is kind of one of the reasons why you do certain things, or you make your variable names a certain way, is because then you can just like plug certain things in. So in terms of our span class, we'll have the ID as title. In this case, I'll use a template literal format to fill this portion, the first portion of that in, and then whatever it is, it'll always be appended with title. And then this here, if I look at our array that we're getting, we have a short name and a long name. So if I look at my payload here, this is our long name here. And then with our long name, All right, cool. So with our long name, we should be good like that there. So we added that. That looks good. And that should fill in our long name for here. Yeah, there we go. And it'll return HTML. One thing we will do is take that out. Our console log is no longer needed. Actually, we'll just go ahead and take it out fully, yeah, instead of commenting it out. We also have to fill in the select options. So we'll go through that. And that might be another, that should be another for loop for everything that's in there. So we can actually generate all those options. The only thing I want to see, let's see this. So if we wanted to actually add an option to a select field, we'll do option, and then that would be the option element, and then we'll do test, and the value equals test. So with that being done and in place, we'll see how all this works. It'll generate the list, put everything together, put it in there. Boom. All right, cool. Let's see what happens. Has old code, control F5. All right, great. So access level list primary. List name, I did the wrong list name, so we'll do list name long. List name long here. The only thing I don't see is we don't have our options in these pills here. We don't have a pill-based version of our options. We'll have to figure that out. Control F5 for new code. Access levels, primary count types. All right, that's good. So that's really nice. And we're getting everything from the back end as opposed to from the front end. We also have to put our button in there. So let's get that code for our button. This should be it here. This is like why you're adding a new feature or refactoring code. Like you don't want to erase stuff because stuff like that will happen. In this case, I'm doing some guarding here, if you will. So yeah, we'll just do it multi-line and then get rid of all the space. Actually, we'll just do this. I'll do this in Notepad++, to be honest. All right, cool. Do this on the other page here. Oh. How do we do this? So I'm just gonna go real small here. Golly. Oh. Why did I do it like that? I mean, I know why. I'm sure I know why I did it like that, but all right, cool. So. Increase the font again. All right, cool. So got that. Copy that. Get rid of spaces here. So on my side, what do I do? View, and then we will wrap. Word wrap. There we go. All right, let's get rid of these places. Sometimes it's just easier to do these things in like a GUI-based text editor, man, because you'll just sit there spending all this time trying to put all this crap together, and it's really tedious. You want to just be able to like quickly do one or two edits. And it's kind of one of the things you have to deal with is just that balance between using GUI-based tools or command line-based tools to get things done just a tad bit quicker or be more comfortable with it. Now you can go full GUI, never go full retard. You can go full GUI, but it's like, okay. You can go full GUI, but it's like, okay, you know, you're gonna have to deal with that. And in some cases, like you'll be. The reason I don't like to go full GUI is because I like to do CLI and I like to be able to move around and be on different computers. Even like my cell phone, I can do some of this stuff. I can log into the screen session from my cell phone, make any quick edits and changes, and then log back out and keep the screen session open at all times. Whereas if I use something like Visual Studio Code, I have to be in front of a computer, have to have all of maybe have to have all of my plugins and other things, server logging and all that other stuff. And it's just like, well, you know, I may not have that option to do that depending on where I'm at. If I have like a larger phone or device or something like that, I could probably even code from that device, especially if you have like an iPhone Pro Max or whatever, or one of the Galaxies with the big screens and all this other stuff. I did order a new cell phone recently, so that should be coming in tomorrow. Or no, Monday actually. Sadly, I didn't order the fast shipping, or I thought I ordered fast shipping, but I was wrong. All right, so let's see if this actually works and see if our button shows up. Control F5. Unexpected identifier. So I messed up somewhere. List container. All right, so yeah, this one I will. We'll use template literals in this case because we have a mixture of a couple things here. And that's kind of cool. You can still do that because then you start having issues with. So within this, like, and it's not proper per se, but it makes it a lot easier. If you're doing HTML elements, usually it's going to be double quoted in terms of values. So if you have like a value equal or a style equal, it'll be in between double quotes like you see here with the styles, or even the classes for the rows and stuff like that for the row class. But then if you do values in on click, if you do a value in an on click, you usually do what's it called? You won't do double quotes, you'll do single quotes, right? Because then it should be passing that without any other type of interpretation or anything like that. Or variable interpretation or variable resolution. But then it's like, okay, well, you're going to have to start working with that. You're going to have to start escaping some of your single quotes and double quotes and things like that, just so the line can actually be read out properly. And it's like, all right, which ones are like the code has to actually interpret, and which ones does the code have to ignore and just say, hey, listen, this is treated as a string as opposed to treating it as something that should be interpreted. So then now you have template literals where you can use the backticks or the symbol that's under backticks, which is under the tilde sign next to the number 1 on the top row of your keyboard. All right, so I can use that and then still have all of these things in there and not have to escape everything. So that long explanation just to say it makes it a little bit easier and cool. Our submit button works. All right, cool. So one thing that's nice, it shows our test, or our test is here, but it doesn't show it. So it's there, it just doesn't really show it. And then we have all of this. So I don't know where that's coming from. Oh, okay, so that's hard-coded. But why is it hard-coded? Yeah, where is that coming from? All right, so that shouldn't be there, I think. Because that shouldn't be there because I should be getting that from somewhere else. There shouldn't be anything in there. So this right here, this account list primary or primary account type. that might just be in the HTML itself. So let's see here. I do a Control A and go to window 1. Right, boom, and then we have this out here, default current list. Edit list. I have this commented out, but I don't think I really need this anymore. We'll keep it for now. I'll do it on probably one of my cleanup sessions where I just see that I just don't need it. Actually, yeah, we can just get through this now because edit list, that's when I had it in 2 different, yeah, add new list div. Yeah, I don't need that anymore because we don't use that. We're not using that that method to put all this together. And so where is this happening at? Generate list response, list entry type prompt, generate list items HTML, array list of objects. Oh, okay. Yeah, I have to change it down here. Fine, we'll do that later. I understand it now. All right, so we have this. Now we want these pills to show up or these options to show. It looks like, yes, text area span, inline, and we should have a select element somewhere around here that we can access. In fact, actually, let's see if this actually looks the way we expect it to. Oh, okay, cool. So that's there. Now I should have. I think a part of the reason why is because some of this stuff is being hidden behind it and you don't see it. Yeah, see, I have an option test here. All right, so in this case, we didn't even start the whole session off with artwork. Darn, that sucks. Marvel's Phoenix Resurrection and connecting covers. Okay, this is kind of cool. So it probably has like Angel in there. Actually, I want to see this one. Okay, so there's like original Angel. I think his name is Angel. That's Jubilee, isn't it? Yes, I think it's Jubilee. And then it's a Phoenix. Oh, wow. Whoa, that's really cool. Oh, but then that's her as the Phoenix. Weird. So it's like her over time, I guess? Like here, no, here, and then here, and then here. That's a really cool picture. There's another picture that I had seen that was pretty cool. Oh, that one's nice. This one's nice. I downloaded this one. At my night job, we actually have a truck that looks exactly like that, old Volvo. Dang, where was it? This one. Yeah. All right. I mean, this is the sex appeal of it all, but still, like, just the color of the hair, gradients, like moving from one color to the next. The bottle, the body itself, the way the proportions, that's beautiful, of course. Everybody likes the boobith, but like just the skin tone and everything and how that, the lighting is on that. Yeah, I was impressed. I do not like the bottom half so much, not just on like, sexual preferences, but like it looks kind of weird here a little bit in terms of the art. But yeah, really nice picture. This one is really, really, really nice and well done. All right, cool. So let's I want to go to select to documentation generated. All right, so with select to options, a traditional select box contains any number of option elements. Each of these is rendered as an option in the dropdown. Select to preserves this behavior when initialized as a select element that contains options, elements converting them into internal JSON representation. All right, elements will be converted into objects using the following rules. Drop down option groups, disabling options, okay. The question is, if I do the select, okay. So it's supposed to show up as I want this to show up. I want us to fill things in so it shows there, and then we can remove it as necessary. All right, I'm gonna actually stop it here. Just thinking about this because I gotta go to the store, and that closes at 12. It's currently 11:09 p.m., so I want to have time to go to the store, and I gotta get some stuff for some of the stuff I'm cooking right now, or will be cooking here in a little bit. I gotta like finish some of my pickling and stuff like that. So I do want to have time to get that done. Let's do this for a couple more minutes. Let's do this for until 11:20, and then I can comfortably like leave for a sec, or go ahead and leave. Okay. So how can I do this? Elements. I don't understand this. Options sourced from other data sources must conform to this same internal representation, the select to data format. So how do I, and then if I feed it something, what do I? A traditional select box contains any number of option elements. Each of these is rendered as an option in the drop-down menu. Select to preserves this behavior when initialized as a select element that contains options. So if I look at what I'm doing here, I do have a select. It's select, and then I have option, and then I have a value, and then I have an option, and it should respect it. But the problem is I'm actually using, this is part of the problem here. I'm actually using tags as opposed to select. So JS example tags. So to tags true. Okay. Trying to figure this out here. All right, configuration. Placeholder, select an option. I don't need that. Allows rendering drop-down options from an array. Okay, so data. default is null. And then if I connect that with what was said previously, this is the text, it's the children, and it's the element. So then if I give it, oof, that's going to be hard because I do the tags for everything. Or not the tags for everything, but I do all of them at once with this one call here. Language matcher, maximum length. All right, allow rendering as an array. Okay, data is data. I can do it twice, it looks like. I can do one after each invocation of, yeah. You may use the data configuration option to load drop-down options from a local array. You can provide initial selections with the array data by providing the option tag for the selected values, similar to how it would be done for a standard select. So this is enhancement, and then the duplicate, it has enhancement. Okay. Selected. And then selected is to duplicate with tags options. And okay, this is kind of pertinent to us. And this option was called tags. However, in version 4.0, tags now handles the tagging feature. This option is okay. For backwards compatibility, tags option can still accept an array of objects, in which case they will be handled in the same manner as the data option. Okay, now with the tagging feature, I have tags true, arrange white purple, tagging with multiple select boxes. All right, cool. So this is what we need. All right, so I think, oh, all right, we'll just copy this and see how it works. All right, so form control, JS example tags. It looks like I don't need this class, JS example tags. All right, so let's go ahead and take that out. Let's see if it still works. It does not. That's why sometimes you just test it. But we see our test there, so that's cool. We see that it's there. So now, right here, orange, orange, purple. So option selected orange. Selected purple. Okay, so what we have to do, it looks like, is selected. So we have to do selected equals selected, and we do that for each one. So for it to show, you don't need a value, it looks like. Actually, no, I want a value because then that gives me this shorthand here. Or not the shorthand, but it gives me the lowercase of everything. You know what? No, I won't do that, and then I'll make it like this because then it'll be the same Yeah, and then it should just be interpreted. And then selected, I'll do like test 2. Cool. All right, so if I do this here, hey, there we go. So it's select test and test 2. So now I should be able to iterate through an array, or an array that's given to me or passed. So if I look at, I'll have an inner for loop. That inner for loop, let's write that real quick. All right, and okay, cool. Inner for loop, and I'll have that there. Payload, and then let's look how our everything is situated. So we'll have the actual list. So payload.list.length, right? And then we will do IL for list, or yeah, we'll do it for L for list and increment that. And then we will do we'll do let options equal nothing. And we'll just keep on adding options as we go along. So then options plus equals, and then do we do, yeah, we could do template literals here, I think. I don't know if, yeah, I think we'll do template literals. And then we'll do our options. We'll do all the stuff in here. I'm just trying to run through this real quick so I can get to the store option. All right, cool. And then here we will do our template literal. So payload.list. And then we'll do, yeah, payload.list. Wait, that's wrong. Right, yeah, that's wrong because we do have to reference where we are in that list. So here we go, or where we are in that payload. So our payload.length, and then payload and where we are in it, and then that list, that length, right? So that's cool. And then here we go here. Oh, great. So that should be good for that. And then, okay, and then we do IL, and it should cycle through that. It should give us a list. And then what we'll do is here, since we have that for loop already, and then we should be able to access options. Right, and then that should be our inner for loop here, there. Oh, sorry, let's control F5. Hey, there we go. Cool, so then we also want to have it where it is disabled. So yeah, we'll have to figure that out, but I'll do that later. But essentially what we want is we want to disable anyone from adding things here or changing these things. And to be honest, what we can do is make these into different items or different type of items, and go from there. But we wanted to get it going from the back end. So I think that was a pretty decent session. Let me go ahead and run out to the store and get some shopping done. Guys, as always, thank you very much. Research some of the things that we're doing in these sessions here so you guys can learn a little bit more and get more information. If anything, you guys can always reach out to me, go into the comment section, ask any questions, go from there. As always, do your research and find out more and learn more, things like that. Looks like we're having bad quality, but all right, cool. Good time to end the session. Peace.